So with pests, if it's like roaches, if it's mice, I'll pay to get that exterminated. For bed bugs, just because it's so expensive, I'll do a bed bug inspection. Have the exterminator do a bed bug inspection before the tenant moves in to certify that there are no bed bugs. So then if there's bed bugs found during that time there, then they're now responsible because I can say that they introduced them to the property. So all that sounds good in theory, but when the tenant's like, oh, I don't have the money to pay for it, you still have to pay for it. I can still bill it back to the tenant. And so typically, like in that instance, I'll bill it back to the tenant, and for the remaining lease, they'll pay increments to pay it down. But you still have to put the money up front, because the last thing you want to do is then have that problem transfer from that one unit to then another unit or another unit. So that's one of those things where you pretty much have to deal with it regardless of what it is.
Is there like a repeated offender type thing? Like, you always got roaches?
So what I'll do, so typically I'll try to treat all the units twice a year.
Okay.
So if I'm treating twice a year, if they need something else, typically I'll tell them they have to. I have the property manager talk to them like you're outside of the regular schedule, so.
Politely tell
Yeah. I mean, but once again, typically, when you treat it, twice a year is typically enough, so that if it's just their unit, then it's just going to be their unit, and it's not going to go to other units. But I mean, depending on how bad it is, you might have to treat it again.
And then last thing on that, like, what's the most common pest in the city, in your opinion?
I think it all varies. I mean, I've had one building where there was mice, and the tenant claimed that the mouse was eating his soap. Claimed the mouse was in his refrigerator. What kind of mouse is this? I've had one building where, for something like just flies, and it was just, I'm not sure where it's just flies.
Yeah.
So I think everything is probably common, but the most common are roaches and mice. Yeah.
Do you ever deal with mold? Because I know like some people will get like a doctor's note saying like, oh, there's mold in my apartment, it's affecting my health. I didn't know from a landlord perspective, like you said, a real thing that you like have to address.
So I did deal with, so I had one unit where there was a leak, and like the roof went up. I felt like almost like it felt like 1,000 times trying to figure out where the leak was coming from. But what happened was the drain was actually too small. So when it rained heavy, the water would get backed up, and then it would stack up high enough to then where it would leak down through the vent pipe. So she would see a leak, and then after a while, anytime there's water and it touches drywall, pretty much you need to replace it, just as the landlord, because what you don't want to have happen is somebody say, hey, I think I got sick because you had mold and all this other stuff. So stuff like that is good to jump on right away, so that there's not even that possibility for it to get to that level.